Eli sat on the bench at the edge of the schoolyard, staring at the empty swing. The wind pushed it gently back and forth, as if someone invisible still played there. It used to be their favorite spot, his and Maya's. Now it was just his. Maya had moved away 3 weeks ago. He still remembered the day clearly. Her family packed up the moving truck. Her mom gave him a sad smile. Maya hugged him tightly, whispered goodbye, and promised to write. But nothing had come yet. No messages. No letters. Only silence. Eli felt like a piece of his world had gone missing. At school, everything felt strange. The lunch table was quieter. Walking home felt longer. Even jokes didn't feel funny anymore. People asked if he was okay, but he just nodded. He didn't know how to explain the ache he felt inside. Maya had been his best friend since first grade. They did everything together, building tree forts, racing bikes, sharing secrets. Now, every memory felt like a movie he couldn't turn off. Eli sat in his room that night, holding a small photo in his hand. It was from last summer. They were at the beach, faces messy with ice cream and smiles wide. He stared at it, then sighed. "I wish I knew how to talk to you again," he whispered. He didn't know where to begin. He had her new address. It was written on a sticky note in his drawer. But what would he even say? "Hey, I miss you." Would she even reply? Days passed. Weeks. The sadness didn't go away. But something inside him started to change. A quiet voice in his heart spoke up. "Don't give up. Try." That voice reminded him of all the times he and Maya helped each other through hard things. When his dog passed away, when she was scared to sing at the school concert, they never gave up on each other. Maybe this time was no different. One Saturday, Eli walked to the local bookstore. He went to the back where they kept journals. He picked one with a soft blue cover, the kind Maya used to like. He brought it home, sat at his desk, and opened to the first page. "Hi, Maya," he wrote, his hand shaking a little. "I don't know if you'll read this. I miss you a lot. School feels strange without you. I hope you're okay." He kept writing. He told her about his bike ride last week and how he almost fell into a bush. He told her about the new math teacher and how strict she was. He even told her about the dream he had, where they built a rocket ship and flew to the moon. When he was done, he didn't feel better exactly, but he felt lighter. He wrote again the next day, and the next, a little each time. After a week, he put all the pages in an envelope and asked his mom to help him send it. She smiled gently and kissed the top of his head. "That's brave," she said. Eli didn't know what would happen, but he felt proud that he tried. 2 weeks later, after a long day at school, he opened the mailbox and, there it was, a letter. Handwritten. The return address matched Maya's town. He ran inside, heart pounding, and opened it carefully. "Dear Eli," it began, "I miss you too." I didn't know what to say. I felt so far away and scared that everything would change. I didn't write because I didn't want to feel sad again, but your letter made me smile. Really smile. Maya had filled the rest of the page with little stories from her new town. She told him about her noisy neighbor, her funny art teacher, and the lake near her house. At the bottom, she drew a small rocket ship with 2 stick figures inside, just like the dream he had written about. "We'll fly again soon," she wrote. Eli laughed. For the first time in weeks, it was a real laugh. Hope filled his chest like warm sunlight. Maybe they were far apart, but their friendship was still strong. Distance couldn't erase what they had. It just meant they had to try a little harder. He sat at his desk and started his next letter. As he wrote, he didn't feel alone anymore, asterisk. Eli checked the mailbox every afternoon now. After Maya's letter came, something inside him had changed. He didn't feel so stuck anymore. There was a new energy in his steps, a new reason to smile. Even his teachers noticed it. "Good to see you back, Eli," Mr. Barlow said as Eli solved a math problem on the board. Eli smiled politely. He wasn't back. Not fully, but he was getting there. Maya's letter stayed tucked in the inside pocket of his notebook. He carried it with him, as if her words could keep him steady. Sometimes he'd reread it during lunch or after class, quietly smiling at the little doodle of the rocket ship she'd drawn. But after a week passed, then 2 and no new letter came. Eli's smile started to fade again. He sat in his room one evening, flipping through the pages of the journal he had written for her. There were still so many things he hadn't told her, things he wanted to share. But now, he wondered, maybe that first letter was all she had to say. Maybe she was moving on. Eli closed the notebook. The silence around him felt heavy again. That night he couldn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, thinking about the swing in the schoolyard, about Maya's laugh, about all the jokes they used to make up together. And he thought maybe he was being too quiet now. Maybe he needed to take the next step. The next morning, Eli made a decision. He would make something special, something that didn't need to be sent in the mail, something that showed her they were still connected, even from far away. He grabbed a shoebox from under his bed and began collecting things first. He found the seashell they had picked up at the beach last summer. Then, he added a photo of the old treehouse, the one where they carved their initials in the wood. He placed his favorite drawing of a spaceship inside, the one Maya had helped him color last year. And finally, he took a small piece of paper and wrote in his neatest handwriting, "For the days when you feel far away, here's proof that you're still close." He called it the memory box. It wasn't big, it wasn't fancy, but it was full of little pieces of their friendship. He planned to keep it safe, to keep adding to it, until one day, maybe he could give it to her in person. That thought gave him hope. At school, Eli's classmates started to notice a change in him again. He wasn't as quiet, he even laughed at a joke someone told at lunch. His best friend had moved away. Yes, but the part of her that lived in his heart hadn't gone anywhere that evening. Something surprising happened. His mom knocked gently on his door. "You have a message," she said, smiling. "On your tablet." Eli opened it quickly. It was from Maya. A video message. He tapped play, his heart beating fast. Maya appeared on the screen, sitting on her new porch. Her hair was messy from the wind, and she was holding her dog, Pebble. "Hey, Eli," she said, her voice soft. "I've been meaning to write again, but I thought maybe a video would feel more real." She looked down for a second, then back up. "I've been missing you. A lot. But sometimes I didn't know what to say. It's like, when I try to talk about the past, it makes me sad, because it's not here anymore." Eli nodded, watching. "But your letter helped. It reminded me that we still matter, if we're not in the same place." She smiled then. "I made something too." The camera moved to show a wall in her room. On it were photos, drawings, and a big piece of paper that said, "Still friends." "Always." Eli's eyes watered. "I hope we can keep writing, or calling, or video messaging." "I don't want to lose what we have," Maya said, "and I promise to answer faster next time." At the end of the video, she held up a small rocket made of paper. "Ready for the next trip?" Eli laughed quietly. "Yeah," he whispered, "I'm ready." That night, he sat by his desk, the memory box open beside him, picked up the photo of the treehouse and smiled. Then he picked up a pen and started writing his next letter. But this time, he didn't feel like he was writing into silence. He was writing to a friend, a real one who was far, yes, but still close where it mattered most, in the heart. It had been almost 2 months since Maya moved away. Eli sat on the windowsill of his room, watching the sun go down behind the trees. He held his tablet in one hand, thinking about the last video message Maya had sent. I'd watched it so many times. He could almost hear her voice in his head without playing it again. They had messaged back and forth a few times since then, short notes and a few pictures. But it was still hard. The messages didn't come every day. Sometimes days passed, without a word, and every time that happened, Eli wondered if she was forgetting him. He didn't want to be forgotten. He missed her laugh, her ideas, even the way she'd gently tease him when he forgot his lunch at school. His room felt quiet now. The house felt quieter too. Even when he was with his family, a part of him felt far away, like he was always waiting for something that didn't come. One evening, while walking home from the park, Eli saw 2 kids riding their bikes down the sidewalk. One of them had long brown hair, just like Maya used to. For a moment, his heart jumped. But as they passed, he realized it wasn't her. It's just 2 strangers. He kept walking, slower than before. When he got home, went straight to his room, and opened the shoebox, the one he called the memory box. He hadn't added anything new in. A while, he pulled out the seashell, the spaceship drawing, the photo of the two ships. He stared at the photo for a long time. Then he stood up and grabbed his jacket. "I'll be back before dinner," he called to his mom. He walked across town toward the old path that led to the woods. The air was cool, and the leaves rustled under his shoes. After a short walk, he reached the truss. It was still there, old, a little worn, but standing. He climbed the wooden ladder slowly. Inside, the air smelled like leaves and dust. The carved initials were still on the wall, M+E. He smiled a little. He sat in the corner and looked out the window. "I wish you were here," he whispered. He took a deep breath, then pulled out his phone and opened the camera. He recorded a video. "Hey Maya, I came to the treehouse today. It's still the same. I thought you might want to see it again." He slowly turned the camera to show the inside every corner, every crack they had memorized. Then he turned it back to his face. "I miss talking to you more. I know you're busy. I just wanted you to know I'm still here." He ended the video and pressed send. Then he just sat. Minutes passed.
The wind
Moved the trees outside. Somewhere nearby, a bird sang. His phone buzzed. A reply. He opened it quickly. It was Maya. Her face appeared on screen, smiling softly. Her room was darker than usual. Only a lamp beside her bed was on. "Thanks for the video, Eli," she said. "It made me cry a little, but in a good way." She paused and looked down before continuing. "I didn't forget you. I could never forget you. But I've been struggling here. I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to sound sad. But it's been hard to make friends. Everyone here already knows each other. Sometimes I eat lunch alone." Heart sank. "I thought if I told you I was doing okay, it would make you feel better. But maybe I just made us both feel more alone." She looked back at the screen, her eyes bright. "I'm really glad you wrote and sent that video. I needed it." At the end of her message, she added something else. "Let's talk more. Really talk. Even if it's just once a week. We can do video calls. Like we're hanging out again." Eli smiled so wide his cheeks hurt. He quickly replied with a thumbs-up emoji and typed, "Yes, let's do it." That night, they had their first video call. They talked for an hour about school, about books, about silly dreams and favorite snacks. They even played a quick online game together. For the first time in a long time, it felt almost normal again, and something changed. Not everything, but something important. They weren't just trying to hold on to the past anymore. They were building something new, something different, but still real, even from far away. They could laugh, share stories, and be part of each other's lives. Eli knew they still had a long way to go. They couldn't see each other every day. They couldn't sit on the swings or build forts in the woods, but they could still care. They could still be there for each other, and that was enough for now. Asterisk. The days felt brighter now. Eli and Maya had started talking every weekend through video calls. Even though she was still far away, hearing her voice and seeing her smile made it easier to get through the week. They laughed again, shared stories, played online games. It felt like something broken was slowly being fixed, but not everything was perfect. Some days, Maya didn't reply right away. Sometimes, their call had to be canceled because she was busy with school or family. On those days, the sadness would return to Eli's chest like a small cloud. It wasn't heavy like before. It still made things feel gray. He didn't want to say anything to Maya. He didn't want her to feel guilty or worried. But the truth was, he missed her more then, he said, and sometimes he was afraid she might stop calling again. One Thursday afternoon, Eli sat at the lunch table by himself. His other classmates were chatting about weekend plans and group projects. He watched them, wondering if he should try to join. But even when he stood up, his feet stayed still. They were nice kids, but it wasn't the same. Maya understood him, in a way no one else did. After school, he walked home slowly, kicking a small rock along the sidewalk. When he got home, saw something on the doorstep. A small package. His name was written on it in big Careful letters from Maya. Eli's heart jumped. He carried it inside and opened it on his bed. Inside, there was a folded letter, a friendship bracelet made of blue and green threads, a little book with drawings of rockets, trees, and stars. He opened the letter. Dear Eli, I made this for you. I know sometimes our calls don't happen. I get busy and you probably do too. But I want you to know that I still think of you every day. This book is full of memories and dreams we've talked about. Things that matter to us. I hope you like it. The bracelet is so you remember we're still connected, no matter how far. Your best friend, always. Mayachale read it twice, then smiled so wide he almost cried. He tied the bracelet around his wrist and held the book to his chest. The drawings inside were sweet and silly stick figures building a rocket, a treehouse in space, a robot dog that looked suspiciously like Pebble. On the last page, Maya had drawn two kids standing on different planets, holding walkie-talkies with a glowing line between them. Eli whispered, still connected. That night, he didn't wait. He opened his notebook and started writing a letter back. Not just a note, but a real letter. He drew his own pictures to a spaceship made of books, a floating bicycle, a tiny island where they could eat endless chocolate. When he finished, he added something new. He took one of his favorite rocks from his collection, the one that sparkled blue in the light, placed it gently in a small box with the letter he wrote on the lid. A piece of my world for yours. He mailed it the next morning. A few days later, Maya messaged, I got it. The rock is amazing. I'm keeping it on my desk. Makes me smile every time I look at it. Thank you so much. Eli felt warm all over. For the first time, the distance between them didn't feel so big. They were creating new things, tiny, meaningful gifts that traveled across space just like their friendship had, even though they were apart. They were learning how to stay close. One weekend, during their video call, Maya looked a little sad. Eli noticed right away. What's wrong? He asked gently. I had a bad day yesterday, she said. Some kids at school were mean. They said I was weird because I like old books and space stuff. Eli's eyes narrowed. That's not weird. It's awesome, I know, she said with a half smile. But it still hurt. Eli thought for a moment, then held up the bracelet she made. This says otherwise, he said. And next time they say that, just tell them you have a best friend who thinks you're the coolest person in the universe. Maya laughed. Thanks, Eli. After the call, Eli sat in his room thinking. He realized something. Even though Maya had moved away, their friendship had grown stronger in a different way. They didn't just share fun moments anymore. They shared the hard ones too, and that made their bond real. Not perfect, not easy, but real. That night, Eli added a new page to his memory box notebook at the top. He wrote, Hope is not giving up, even when things change. And beneath it, he drew a picture of two stars connected by a single beam of light. He knew there would still be quiet days, missed messages, and moments of sadness. But he also knew that their friendship wasn't fading. It was just changing shape, and that was okay, because they were still trying, still reaching, still hoping, and that was enough. Eli sat in the corner of the school library, his hands resting on the pages of a book he wasn't really reading. The quiet around him should have been comforting, but today it felt heavy. Even though things had been better lately, the sadness sometimes returned without warning, soft but sharp, like a forgotten bruise. He hadn't heard from Maya. In a week, it wasn't like her. They usually messaged at least once every few days. A silly picture, a short note, even just a smiley face. But this time, nothing had come. No calls, no videos, not even a hi. Eli tried not to worry. The silence grew louder each day. He looked at the bracelet on his wrist. The one she had made and sent to him was still tight and strong. The blue and green threads slightly faded now from where he thought about. The letter he sent with the shiny rock, she had loved it. So why did she stop writing? Maybe something had happened. Maybe she was sad. Maybe she didn't want to talk anymore. That last thought stung the most. After school, Eli walked home with his backpack dragging on one shoulder. It felt heavier than usual, even though he had no extra books inside. At home, he sat by the window, watching the clouds roll in. A soft rain began to fall. He opened his tablet and typed a message to Maya. "Hey, just wondering how you're doing. Miss you." He stared at it for a long time before pressing send. Then he waited and waited. But the message just sat there, delivered. But unread, Eli closed the tablet and sighed. He didn't know what to do anymore. The next few days passed slowly. At school, he tried to focus, but his thoughts kept drifting back to Maya. Every time he walked past the swings, he remembered the way she used to lean back and close her eyes, pretending to fly. On Saturday, Eli took a walk to the old park. The one with the wide lake and the tall oak tree. It was where they had gone during their last weekend together before she moved. He sat on the same bench they had once shared. The wind blew gently, and leaves danced across the ground. He pulled a small notebook from his pocket, the one he had been using to write down his feelings. He turned to a blank page and wrote, "I don't know how to help you if I don't know what's wrong. But I'm still here. I haven't gone anywhere. I won't." He stared at the words. Then he slowly closed the notebook and held it tight. Later that evening, just before dinner, Eli's tablet lit up. A message from Maya. His heart skipped. He opened it quickly. "I'm so sorry I didn't write. Things have been hard here. My grandma got sick and had to go to the hospital. I was scared. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I didn't even know what to say to you." Eli read the message again, slower this time. Then another message appeared. "But I missed you every day. I read your last message 100 times. I just couldn't find the right words to answer." Lee's chest felt warm and heavy all at once. He understood now. It wasn't about him. Maya hadn't forgotten him. She had just needed space. He typed back, "You don't always have to say the perfect thing. Yeah. You can just say how you feel. Even if it's messy, I'll still be here." A moment later, she replied, "Thank you." They didn't talk for long that night, just a few more short messages. But they were real, honest, and that was enough. The next day, Eli decided to do something different. He went into his room and opened the memory box. This time, instead of adding something old, he created something new. He pulled out paper, scissors, and markers. He made a small card with a simple drawing of a sunrise. Inside, he wrote, "Even when it's cloudy, the sun is still there. It's just like me, still here, still your friend." He placed the card inside an envelope, added a tiny pressed flower from the park, and mailed it that afternoon. A few days later, Maya sent a voice message. Her voice was soft but steady. "I got your card," she said. "It made me cry again, but in the good way. Thank you for not giving up on me." Eli listened with a quiet smile. She continued, "I think sometimes I forget that I don't have to go through things alone. You remind me." Eli didn't reply right away. He didn't have to, because sometimes just being there was enough. At school that week, Eli felt different. He wasn't less sad, not completely, but he felt stronger, calmer. He started talking more with a classmate named Jonah, who liked space too. They laughed about silly science fiction ideas and ate lunch together once. It wasn't the same as being with Maya, but it was something. Hope, Eli realized, wasn't about everything being perfect. It was about believing that things could get better even if they were slow, even if they were hard. It was about showing up, being kind, and never letting go of the people who mattered. Asterisk, it was a quiet Sunday morning. Eli sat at the kitchen table, staring out the window. The trees outside were full of color, gold, orange, red. Fall had arrived. Leaves floated through the air, landing gently on the grass like little pieces of memory. Maya loved this season. He remembered how they used to collect leaves together. They would find the biggest ones, the brightest ones, and press them into books. Maya used to say each leaf had its own story. Now, Eli wondered what story this autumn would tell. He hadn't heard from her in a few days again, not as long as last. Time but enough to make his heart feel heavy. She had said things were getting better. Her grandma was home from the hospital, and she was starting to smile again. They had even joked in their last call, laughing about an old drawing they once made of a flying sandwich. But now silence had returned, and with it, doubt. Eli opened his drawer and took out his notebook. He flipped to the page where he kept track of their letters, messages, and calls. Little stars marked the happy days. Blank spaces showed the quiet ones. He stared at the empty space beside today's date. "I know you're trying," he whispered, "but sometimes I still feel far away from you." He put the notebook down and stood up. He needed air outside. The wind was cool and soft. He walked to the park, his hands in his jacket pockets, his shoes crunching against fallen leaves. The swings were empty. The bench near the lake was open. He sat there, watching the ripples on the water. An old woman walked by with her dog and gave him a small smile. Eli nodded back, but didn't say anything. He pulled out his phone, opened the camera, and pointed it toward the lake. He started recording a short video. "Hey Maya," he said softly. "It's fall here. The lake is still and quiet. It made me think of you." He paused. "I don't know why it's hard sometimes. I know you care. I do too. But even when we talk, I still miss how things used to be. I guess I just needed to say that out loud." He ended the recording and saved it, but he didn't send it. Not yet. He walked home slowly, kicking through leaves, listening to their soft crunch. The sadness in his chest didn't feel sharp today. It felt more like a soft ache, like something that was healing, but not quite done. That evening, after dinner, Eli sat in his room and picked up the small box where he kept her letters and drawings. He opened it and smiled at the rocket ship she once sent, at the little card he had mailed with the pressed flower. These things weren't loud or big, but they mattered. They were proof that even small things could keep people connected, he thought. Again, about the video he had recorded earlier. Then he opened his tablet, attached the file, and sent it with a short message. "Just thinking of you. No need to reply fast. Just wanted to share this moment with you." He put the tablet down and turned off the light. He didn't wait this time. He let go of the worry and let the quiet be quiet. The next morning, there was a reply. It was a message from Maya. "I watched your video. It made me cry a little. Not because I was sad, but because I felt seen. I didn't know how to say it, but I feel the same way. Even when we talk, I still feel far sometimes." Then came a second message. "But when I hear your voice, or read your letters, or see your drawings, it pulls me back. It reminds me that you're still here, and I'm still here. And that's something." Eli read her words 3 times. Slowly, with care. Then he smiled and wrote back, "Even when it's quiet, I'm still with you." That week, they started something new. A shared journal, every day. They would each write one short sentence, or draw something small in an online notebook. Sometimes it was silly, sometimes serious, sometimes just one word. But it was theirs. And it helped. It gave them a way to stay close even on the days when they were too tired to talk or too busy to write long messages. One day, Eli wrote, "Today I saw a squirrel fall off a branch. It got up and ran away like nothing happened. Made me laugh." Maya replied, "That squirrel is my spirit animal." Another day, Maya wrote, "I felt lonely at lunch again, but your last drawing made me smile." Eli replied, "You're never truly alone. Not with me around." The shared journal became a place of comfort, a reminder, quiet way of saying, "I still care." Eli realized something important. Feeling distant didn't mean the friendship was ending. It just meant they had to keep reaching, keep trying, believing, because that's what hope was. Not perfect days, not always being close, but holding on, even when things were uncertain, especially when things were uncertain. Eli sat on his bedroom floor with the memory box open beside him. He carefully placed a new drawing inside a sketch of 2 trees standing far apart, but with their roots touching deep underground. He didn't draw people this time. He just wanted to show a feeling, one that words couldn't explain. It had been nearly 3 months since Maya moved away. Some days, the ache in his chest still came back. Not every day now, but sometimes like this evening, when the sky outside was gray and soft rain, tapped gently against the window. He missed her. He missed the small things, her laugh, her thoughtful replies, the silly way she would pretend to be a space captain on their video calls. They still talked, but not as often. Their shared journal continued, but a few pages were skipped this week. He told himself it was okay. People got busy. Life changed, but still, it was hard. That night, Eli picked up his notebook and wrote, "I feel like we're both holding a string, but sometimes I wonder if I'm pulling too hard. I don't want it to break, but I also don't want to let go." He stared at the words for a long time. Then he closed the notebook and whispered, "I just want to stay close." At school the next day, Eli sat quietly through his classes. His teacher spoke, and his classmates joked around, but everything felt far away. Even during lunch, when he usually chatted with Jonah about space books and strange animals, he was quieter than usual. Jonah noticed. "Everything okay?" he asked. Eli shrugged. "Just thinking." Jonah didn't push, simply nodded and said, "I brought that moon puzzle if you want to try it later." Eli smiled a little. "Thanks." That afternoon, when he got home, he found a new message waiting on his tablet. It was from Maya. But it wasn't a long letter or a video. It was a photo, a picture of a quiet street, lined with golden trees and a cloudy sky. Beneath it, she had written, "Saw this and thought of you. Looks like the park near your house." Eli's heart softened. He stared at the image for a while, then replied, "It does. Almost exactly. I miss walking there with you," Maya answered. "Me too, a lot." Then came another message. "I know I haven't written much lately. Been feeling kind of lost. I didn't know how to say it. But I'm still here. I just sometimes don't know how to reach out." Eli's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then he typed, "You don't have to reach far. I'm always just one step away." He waited. This time she replied almost right away. "That means more than you know." The next day, Eli sat on the school bus, looking out the window as trees passed by in a blur. He thought about everything they had been through, the letters, the silence, the laughter, the pauses in between. He realized something important. Friendship wasn't just about being close all the time. It was about still caring. Even when things felt far, it was about staying connected in small ways. Photos, words, memories, hope. He thought about the roots in his drawing, how trees can be apart on the surface, but underneath they can still touch, still grow together, quietly, strongly. When he got home, he opened the shared journal. On a blank page, he drew a picture of those two trees again. Then beneath it, he wrote, "Even if we grow in different places, we're still part of the same forest." He pressed save the following weekend. Eli got a surprise in the mail, a package. Inside, wrapped in soft paper, was a tiny wooden box. On the lid were the words, "For the moments when we feel far." Inside the box was a small note. "I made this. For you, it's just a simple box. But whenever you miss me, put something in it, a pebble, a feather, a joke, a secret. One day when we meet again, we can open it together." Eli held the box in his hands. Tears touched the corners of his eyes. It wasn't about the distance anymore. It was about the promise that no matter how far they were still building something together, still writing their story, still growing. That night, Eli sat by the window, the box in his lap. He picked up a tiny paper star he had folded weeks ago and placed it inside. Then he looked up at the moon. "I miss you," he said softly. Then he smiled. "But I believe in us." And for the first time in a long time, the sadness didn't feel so heavy, because now he understood. Hope wasn't always loud. Sometimes it was quiet, like a message sent without words, like a memory kept in a box, like a string stretched between two hearts that still held on no matter the distance.